suffering financially. We see no stimulus deal in the works right now.
So while congressional negotiations for another round of economic stimulus have completely stalled, Americans have grown increasingly desperate, which was definitely evident in the insanely long lines for the food bank, the North Texas food bank, where workers there distributed more than 600,000 pounds of food for about 25,000 people. 40% of those who went to the food bank over the weekend were first timers. So it shows just how much this inaction by the federal government in regard to the pandemic and the economic crisis people are feeling is affecting their lives every single day. In fact, one woman in North Texas told CNN, quote, "I haven't been working since December. I can't find a job. They cut off my unemployment. It's a big deal. It's a real big deal." And eviction protections and other benefits are set to expire by the end of the year. And Congress has still failed to provide another round of stimulus. Now, Trump was allegedly open to stimulus funding prior to the election, but now that he lost, he doesn't really feel that he has an incentive to pass another round of economic stimulus. If you guys can remember, close to the election, he proposed a $2 trillion stimulus plan to counter Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats' $2.2 trillion stimulus plan. Pelosi rejected that. Mitch McConnell wasn't willing to sign on to that either. And so now here we are, and there are worries that there will not be another round of stimulus until Joe Biden is inaugurated. And that is awful considering he won't be inaugurated until January 20th. Now, Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, has made clear what his priorities are. It's not to represent the best interests of the American people who are truly suffering right now. He wants to ensure that he confirms more of Donald Trump's judges. And that's what we've learned today through various reports. In fact, let me go to the next graphic where Vanita Gupta, who's the CEO of Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, she says, today marks 6 months since the House passed the HEROES Act. But guess what McConnell is focused on this week? Judges. He's lined up votes on 6 Trump judicial nominees for lifetime seats instead of passing meaningful COVID relief. That's his priority as the pandemic rages on. And I should note that Trump can actually appoint a dozen or more federal judges between now and the end of his term.
Okay, so first 2 things. One is about how bad coronavirus is. So we told you around election time it had gotten up to 100,000 cases a day, which was a record. Way worse than March or April when we thought it was raging. It's raging worse around the election. So how has it been in the last 2 weeks? Nearly doubled. On Friday, there was over 184,000 cases. Record on top of record cases. But now that the election is over, the Republicans say, we're not gonna give any relief. Trump is basically saying, oh, you didn't vote for me? Okay, well, I'll punish you with death and no help at all. Both death physically, health-wise, but also economically. Now, the last part is the negotiation tactics. It drives me crazy. So the Democrats start with a proposal for $3.4 trillion. The Republicans in the Senate, Mitch McConnell starts with $1 trillion. Democrats go, fine, we'll go half a loaf, we'll go to $2.2 trillion. They come down, right? So where do the Republicans go? They got to go up to meet them, right? No, McConnell goes, I'll go down. It's down $500 billion. What are you going to do now? And Democrats, I guarantee you, will settle for something less than the original Republican proposal of $1 trillion by the end of this. I shouldn't say guarantee, but I'd be surprised if they didn't, because that is always how negotiations work between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats will ask for half a loaf. Republicans will start with a quarter of a loaf, they'll cut it to an eighth of a loaf, and eventually they'll settle on less than a quarter of a loaf. And then the entire national media will call Nancy Pelosi a master legislator. No, everybody's gonna get screwed on this, unfortunately, and it's sickening.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.